Wow, this is a really late review. For those of you who are newly subscribed to the channel, I said that I was going to review this manga like months ago. The Quintessential Quintuplets is one of those mangas that became really popular for a short while and then just fell off the face of the earth. But I never personally got into it because, well, it was a harem, and I've been very vocal with my opinions on harems in the past. I think they have a lot of problems, the most important of all problems being that they don't have satisfying endings, which might be why this manga fell off the face of the planet after it reached its prime in popularity. But now some of you might be seeing this for the first time and asking yourselves, what is this manga all about? As you probably could already have guessed, it is a harem between quintuplets and one guy. And it's just made all the more weirder by the fact that they're all sisters and look exactly alike. Now, something funny and clever that they do for this particular manga harem is they start off the series with the wedding. So this is in the future to confirm, yes, he does end up with one of these girls and he does end up marrying her, and, you know, happy ending is what they're advertising you here. But the joke is, of course, that the bride is wearing her hair up and all the quintuplets look exactly the same, so you don't know which girl he's actually marrying. And that's kind of funny. So we'll have repeated like flash forwards of the wedding, and it kind of gives you that feeling like they're trying to hint towards what girl. There's no hints there. I think that the writer just decided last minute who he was gonna end up with. But I will give him props that there is an air of mystery to the manga, and I think that's something that can help keep an audience very invested. So the way this harem gets rolling is that he's a very smart character, very cheap, in need of money, and he ends up getting paid by their wealthy father to tutor all of the quintuplets. Over time, they get better at academics, they pass their exams, they all confess their feelings to him, and of course at the end he has to choose which one he wants to be with. As far as harem plots go, I don't think that's inherently a bad idea, but this definitely falls into a lot of the same old pitfalls that every other harem falls into. So I think that this manga series actually ended up serving to be a perfect example of why harems are so bad, at least in my mind. Why I dislike harems so much can be summed up in the Quintessential Quintuplets. Main thing being that this main character has basically no real opinions, or at least it doesn't feel like he has any opinions. He doesn't lean towards any of the girls throughout the whole series, and we constantly have all these scenes where it's like, ooh, is he gonna end up with this girl, or is he gonna end up with this girl? You know, it's basically fan service for people who like those characters, because the characters are likable. So as fan service, the writer will create romantic scenes with him and every single one of the girls. And it just makes him look like a man whore, because he's bumping around with each of these girls all the time, and he can't decide which one he actually likes. It even gets so bad that at the end, where they all like have confessed to him and he's trying to decide, of course he takes multiple chapters to decide which one he wants. Each of the girls go behind each other's back to make out with him. No, not kidding. He has a scene where he kisses each one of them, even before he's decided which one he wants to be with. That is so... Ooh, it's made worse by the fact that they're sisters. I mean, it would be bad if they were all friends, but they're all also related. And they're going behind their sister's back to, like, get a cheap kiss off of him? And what, it's supposed to be okay because he hasn't technically decided yet? It's so sleazy, I don't like it. Now, if you were going to ask me, which one of these girls did I actually like? Which one of them would I have rooted for? I will briefly give you my opinions. First of all, this This series made me feel so fucking bad for Miku, shy girl over here, because she's like the first one who we as the audience recognize as having a crush on him, and they just make you feel so bad every single time another character starts to have a crush on him and she gets worried because she's way too shy to make a move, and she knows that any other girl who will step in will get the guy. And of course, she doesn't get the guy, so it just makes me feel even worse talking about this. But out of all of their confessions, the one that I liked the most was actually the Ice Princess Sundre character over here. I feel like her confession scene was really good and really interesting. How like she approached the matter, and how she came to terms with the fact that she was in competition with her other sisters. I like the fact that she's more aggressive with her feelings, and she's like, no, I'm gonna win you over. I've reviewed I'll Win You Over Senpai. I kind of liked that about that manga series as well, that she was like, no, I'ma do it. Unfortunately, it's just wasted on this series because he doesn't pick her either. So I don't know what the point is with having these good scenes with these characters who he won't end up with in the first place. Except, you know, fan service. Rather than creating a harem, why didn't you just make multiple manga series, romantic manga series, where there's a guy and this archetype of girl or that archetype of girl or whatever, and just have them end up together and be happy? Why put them all up to one guy and just make it a harem where 4 out of 5 girls will be unhappy at the end? Now, having them be quintuplets does allow for a lot of funny scenes and running gags. Obviously, they trade places a lot, and he never can really figure out which one is which, because he doesn't know them that well, and that's something that leads up to the ending where they actually all dress up as brides, and he has to figure out which one is actually the girl that he picked, the girl that he's going to marry. And I think that's kind of a cute, interesting idea to show like progression and to show that, you know, he really does love the girl because he can recognize her, you know, that she does stand out as an individual to him. That's something that this book does really well, is capitalize on the idea of individualism. But like I said before, it's not a satisfying ending, because all these girls, even at the wedding day, still like him. And that's just so brutal. I would never be able to marry a guy who I knew that my sister wanted to fuck, especially if my sister looked exactly like me. Ooh, that's just sowing the seeds of adultery. But I do see what they're going for with this scene and having like the foreshadowing for him being able to tell which one is his bride, and I appreciate that. It does seem kind of familiar, like I've seen it somewhere before. I don't know, maybe in like The Parent Trap or something. I don't know. What have I actually watched that has like twins or triplets or quintuplets? It just seems kind of familiar. I can't really put my finger on it exactly. But I did like that. I like how this capitalizes on individualism, and I like how each of the girls are likable and they feel like real characters that go through real development. But I don't like the fan service with him being so indecisive, having happy time with each of the girls before he finally picks one. And I don't like how I feel really bad for the girls who get rejected, of course. If they had done the work to make it so that the other girls find other guys, or actually move on from this one guy and don't still like him, I would feel a little bit better about the wedding, you know? Because then it would be like, oh, well, yeah, they love him as a friend, but they've accepted that he married their sister, and they've moved on, and they found other guys that they like, and, you know, started up careers doing shit. I mean, they do like hint at the careers that these girls end up going towards. But then here's the real kicker, and this I assume is what lost all of the fans, even the people who were on board with the wedding and this type of ending. The writer doesn't commit to that either. Oopsie doopsie, it was all a dream. Soul Dream. So to conclude, I think that there are good things about this series. I can definitely see why it gained such an audience and why people were really captivated by it for a while. But as you were going towards the ending, people's interest started to drop off, and I can see why. Because you didn't commit. And this guy apparently didn't commit either because the wedding was a sham. But yeah, the things that turn me off about Harems is the indecisiveness and the fan service with all the characters that they're not going to end up with. I like it when a series starts like really taking control of a character and letting them actually lean a certain way so that the audience knows what's going to happen and what direction we're going in. A lot of love triangles will do this, not a lot of harems will do this, and I think that's a mistake. I think that they should do that because it makes the main character seem like less of a whore. So because of that, this is not necessarily a recommend from me. But if they ever went on to write stuff that wasn't a harem, I would probably read it because I don't think that all of the romantic scenes were bad. I just don't like this style of harem and how they do it. But I mean, I do appreciate the comedy of the idea, ooh, who's he gonna end up with? Because they all look exactly the same. Which one is actually his bride? It actually reminds me of this other anime that I saw fairly recently this year. I think it was called A Romance in Which the Childhood Friend Doesn't Lose. I know, long-ass title. But the joke is that both of the girls are childhood friends of the guy, so that you don't really know which one is going to win or lose. And, you know, I appreciate the comedy. Even the writers are like, yeah, I know what type of story I'm writing, but I gotta throw off the audience somehow. Kind of leads you into this false sense of security when you open up with the wedding and you're like, oh, I know who he's gonna end up with, but then you realize they're all quintuplets. And then you're like, oh shit, I don't know anything. But definitely let me know, what did you think of this series? If you did read it, what do you think of harems in general? Are you a fan of harem animes? Do you have a favorite? Do you have one that doesn't do the stuff that I just listed that I hated that harems do? Definitely leave your thoughts, opinions, recommendations down in the comments section below. I know some people are probably waiting for me to read more cringe. I'm considering reading Mother of Madness, but it seems like the series isn't done yet. There's like one more issue that people are waiting for, so I'm wondering if I should do a read-through when all of the issues of that are out. As painful as it may be, I think I'll do it. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Till then, bye!
Program restart.